An NHL insider has dropped a bombshell report on the future of Chris Kreider as a New York Ranger and what Chris Drury is planning to do with this roster this offseason. And all signs are showing that Chris Kreider has played his last game as a New York Ranger. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers now that the season is officially over, we're headed towards locker cleanout day. There's going to be some fireworks. There's going to be a lot of roster moves and roster reconstruction this offseason. You don't want to miss any of it. It's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. But let's get right into it. An insider, a Rangers insider, a guy that we know very well here on the channel, Vince Mercogliano, dropped an absolute bombshell report on the future of Chris Kreider as a New York Ranger. And he said, I believe Drury intended to try and trade Kreider before the trade deadline this year. Chris Drury was actively trying, and we know this from a report back in November, that he was trying to trade Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba. Now, he got one of two done. We know that. And he was looking for two of two. He was definitely trying to trade Chris Kreider. And we're going to get into what this season meant to Chris Kreider and what happened this season to Chris Kreider. We're going to get to that later in the episode. I do want to tease that. But he wanted to get it done before the trade deadline. But he reevaluated and he came to the conclusion that he would probably have a better chance of getting value back for Kreider if he waited until the summer. So that tells me, first of all, that Chris Kreider, by the way, is getting traded this offseason. He's played his last game as a New York Ranger, and all signs are pointing to that. I mean, Will Cooley got the puck out of the net for him last night to give him the puck. Like, everybody knows that this is probably it for him as a New York Ranger, which is sad, but at the same time, like, the team is moving in a different direction. We know that. We've had all season to kind of start to process that since November, essentially, when some of these moves started going down. But again, Drury intended to try and trade Kreider before this year's trade deadline. I think it started in November because of how things soured over the summer and into this season. And again, he thinks that waiting till this summer will add trade value. But went on to say that the only guys I would say with some certainty that I think will be back next year are Igor Shesterkin, Adam Fox, JT Miller, and Vincent Trocheck. Everybody else is free game. That means Alexis Lafreniere. That doesn't necessarily mean everyone's getting traded. Like, that's not going to happen. But Alexis Lafreniere's name's not on here. I mean, Keandre Miller, we have no idea he needs a contract extension. Hasn't been signed. Doesn't look like it's going to be signed. We have no idea what's going to happen with that. That's going to be a big thing all summer. Or leading into free agency, I should say. He is an RFA, but that's going to be a big storyline. And there's a lot of other guys who are not named on this list that I think is very interesting. Now, Will Borgen, I think, will probably stay and will be a part of this team. But beyond that, there isn't much that would surprise me. So there is going to be massive roster turnover this offseason for the Rangers. And one guy that they have interest in, and this, we heard this a couple months ago already, is Vladislav Gavrikov from the LA Kings, I believe, right now, and is probably in line what the Rangers are looking for the most. A guy who's played on the top pair for the Kings, can play, and the Kings have been a great team this year, can play in that shutdown role, can kind of let Fox do his thing, but not sure if the Rangers are going to be able to afford him. So that's a guy that they're keeping tabs on. We're going to have another video kind of deep diving into that and what he can do for Adam Fox. I think Adam Fox can bring his game to another level still. Since he had that knee injury, he hasn't been the same player, but I do think that he still has another gear if he actually had a good defensive partner that isn't Carson Soucy or a broken down Ryan Lindgren. And don't get me wrong, Ryan Lindgren's a great player. Love Ryan Lindgren. Been saying it on the channel forever. He's doing great things in Colorado right now, but he's playing a different role. That is what it is, right? So they need another guy who can kind of slot into that position there with Adam Fox. That would make a difference. And this is from Vince as well. Everything, and I would underline everything that I've heard indicates that firing Drury is not going to happen. The chances are very, very slim. So Chris Drury's not going anywhere. I think by all accounts, Peter Laviolette is going to get fired after locker cleanout day. I think they're going to let everyone, do their exit day, their exit interviews, all of that. And, they're not going to fire him right away. I said in a previous video, they're going to fire him Friday. I'm just exaggerating in that way. I think they want everyone to report. First of all, they have to, for locker cleanout day and do their exit interviews. And I think they're going to take a lot from that to make decisions. And Again, this is from Vince as well. I think for the New York Rangers to truly get back to a position where they're not just talking about sneaking into the playoffs, but championship contention, some big moves are going to need to happen. That's where we're at with Drury. Can he make that happen? And I think he's going to, and I think Chris Kreider is just one of those things that is going to happen. We'll get to Chris Kreider specifically in a moment, but I did want to say that, I think that there are going to be some big moves. There are going to be some fireworks this offseason, and I think, with Peter Laviolette, he is going to get fired. I do believe that. And, Chris Drury is not going to get fired, but I do think they're going to take a lot out of these exit interviews from some of these players. Do you want to be here or do you not want to be here? Yes or no? I think that's how a lot of them are going to start. And then how did you feel about this season? I think that's exactly how they're going to go. Do you want to be here or not? Right? Do you want to be a Ranger? Yes. Oh, but under your own terms and conditions? Okay, maybe we're going to look for a trade here. Maybe we're going to look to reconstruct this roster a little bit. So I think that's what's going to happen this offseason. Now, one thing I wanted to get into is this is from David, and we've seen David's tweets here a lot. I've used them in the past because there are some interesting insight in some of these tweets and all the fan reaction on X sometimes, but and Reddit for that matter. But a lot of people are saying that a lot of Rangers fans are quitting on Chris Kreider, and the sentiment isn't the same as Matt Martin in his farewell to the New York Islanders fans and the reception of Matt Martin. And again, Kreider looks like he kind of quit on the team this year. I hate to say it. I hate saying that players quit. But that's the big difference. Kreider brought everyone down with him. We have to trade him this summer as well as his best friend Mika Zibanejad because we can't risk Mika pulling a Kreider and doing the same to us next year. We need a leadership change, a new core. And I think that you kind of have one in Vincent Trocheck and JT Miller. One of them is going to be named captain. We know that. It's so obvious at this point. The Rangers will have a new captain next year, and it's one of those two players. And whoever doesn't get the captaincy will get the A on their jersey as well. So they're both getting letters, that's for sure. But I do think that Kreider, ever since that stuff happened last year with Jacob Trouba in the offseason, his attitude, something with it, he just doesn't want to be here. It hasn't been the same. The vibes are not high with him. So I hate saying that a player quit, but if you listen to this snippet from around the NHL with Elliot Friedman, it really, I don't want to get too far into it. Like, go listen to this. It's out there on X. You can search for it, but it gives a lot of insight. It's very interesting, and it just looks like Kreider just doesn't want to be there, or doesn't want to play for anybody that's in the organization right now. So I thought it was interesting. And again, I hate saying that players quit because I know that this is a player who doesn't want to quit, but it is what it is at this point, and I think that they have to move off of Chris Kreider, and it does suck because Rangers fans love Chris Kreider. But Chris Kreider just scored, and this was last night in their season finale against the Washington Capitals. Sorry, not the Washington Capitals, the Tampa Bay Lightning at home. And he just scored, and Will Cooley immediately went to get the puck. Everyone in the building has a sense of this, that this could be his final game as a member of the New York Rangers. And I do truly believe that it was his final game as a New York Ranger. And again, like I keep saying throughout the video, it sucks, right? We all love him as a New York Ranger, but something has to be done this season. This team is getting younger. The coach needs to be fired. A lot of people would argue Chris Drury needs to be fired. This is his last chance. What can you do this offseason? Bring in a new coach. We know you're going to do that. What are you going to do in terms of moves? And is the team successful next year? If they're not, you're also gone because it's over. It's so over. You shouldn't be allowed to make more moves after that. So he is on thin ice. I don't think he's going to fall through it soon, but he is on thin ice. So we'll keep an eye on that here on the channel. But let me know what you think about everything that's come out about Chris Kreider, everything that's come out about Chris Drury. This organization is in a tailspin right now, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon because of locker cleanout day and some of the quotes we're going to get from that. I'm going to have a video later today on Mika Zibanejad and some of the comments he made in his future as a New York Ranger, so stay tuned for that. We have some insight into who might be the next coach of the New York Rangers, so stay tuned for all the content coming out on the channel very soon. The season ended, but the content is not going to stop because lots of changes are coming for the New York Rangers. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.